Hello and welcome to Newsline TV. This is a show that teaches you how to create wealth, manage it, and preserve it. In our previous episode, we learned how many Kenyans are stuck in two phenomena: financial freedom versus financial security. We learned that financial security is what you get when you're assured of a salary every month, so you end up spending everything. Financial freedom, on the other hand, is where you're able to actually get this salary and use it and manage it in such a way that by the time you're in your late 60s or much later, you can still continue to sustain your lifestyle, whether you're working or not. And we're privileged again to be with our financial consultant, Lucy Njine. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Lucy is a financial consultant, and today she will start to teach us how to become financially free.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Grace. I'm once again honored to be here to speak to us about wealth creation. Becoming financially free is essentially the process of wealth creation. When you want to become financially free, it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're planning for until when you're 50 or when you're 60 or when you're retired. You can plan to be financially free when you're 20. You can plan to be financially free when you're 30, when you're 40. It is a decision you make, and then you work towards it, depending on how you plan the income that you're earning now. Are you able to invest it? Are you able to multiply it so that by the time you are 30 years, you are comfortably having enough sources of income that can sustain your desired kind of lifestyle? And so in this episode, I'd like us to look at several steps that take us to wealth creation. And the first step, we call it acquiring wealth. That is the first step. Under that step, we'll look at several things that you need to do. And then the next step is called wealth multiplication. And the last step of wealth creation is called wealth preservation.
Thank you, Lucy. Acquiring wealth, that's a very huge task.
Yes.
Where do we start?
It is a huge task. Acquiring wealth starts by you sitting down and creating a vision for your desired lifestyle. That is the first step. You design that when I am financially free is the time I will be having how much money at the end of the month or at the end of the week or at the end of the year, whatever it is, without you having to work. Meaning you can sleep in your house for a whole week, for a whole month. You're not actively involved in any work. If any work you're doing, it is actually spending time doing the things that you enjoy doing, whether they are giving you an income or not. In fact, we like to look at wealth, the first step of acquiring wealth, by asking you, if you had all the money in this world, you're not bothered about bills, about rent, about school fees, about your medical bills, what would you be doing? So we want you to dream that kind of life that you want to spend when you're not worried where the money is coming from. Once you have that, you're going to cost it in, like for example, every month. For me, to be able to survive 1 month without waking up to go to work every day, I will need, say, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, depending on what you want. So that is your first step in acquiring wealth. Creating a vision for your financial freedom point. And then step number 2, you're going to ask yourself, how long will it take me to accumulate enough investments that will be giving me that kind of money per month, or that kind of money per week, or that kind of money per day? That is the first step to acquiring wealth.
How can Nevea it will help us, to start acquiring wealth?
Yes.
Even as we have this discussion, because a lot of people will be wondering, where do I start?
Where do I start? Yes. That is basically what we do. And we sit with either individuals, if you want us to plan your wealth, your financial journey. As an individual, we sit together and we take you through the steps of creating first the vision for your financial freedom. Or we can sit in a group. Like for example, if you're in a group, a chama, a church, or even a family, we can come in and sit with you and create a vision for you. Where do you want to go? And we will explain, we'll take you through the steps that you need to take. And then we will leave you to just implement the steps. If you want us to work with you step by step, we are also available to do that.
Right. At the end of the day, when you're creating wealth, there are a few things that you need to think about.
Yes.
Tell us about these things.
The first step that you need to think about in acquiring wealth, because that is the first principle of wealth creation. You have to acquire the wealth first. So what you do is you look at the income that you are having, whether it's a salary or whether it's in business, how frequently does it come? And therefore, you start planning with the income that you're having right now so that it is able to take care of your needs today, tomorrow, and even leave some for investments. And the step number one in acquiring wealth, we talk about tithing. You pray and tithe. You cannot make wealth. You cannot create financial freedom if you don't honor God, the giver of all the wealth. So principle number one is pray and tithe. And now this one doesn't mean necessarily you are a Christian. If you're a Christian, you know what the Bible says about tithing, about praying. If you're a Muslim, you know what the Quran says. If you're a Hindu, you know what it says. But that is principle number one. You must tithe. And if you're a Christian, the Bible says it must be 10% of what you are earning. If your earnings come every day, 10% of what you earn per day. If your earnings come every month, 10% of what you earn every month. That is the first step.
There's great debate about the percentages.
Yes.
Is it 10% of your gross or 10% of your net?
It is 10% of your gross.
Right.
10%, if you're earning a salary, you are earning 100,000, it is 10% of 100,000. Because even Kenya Revenue Authority, when they are taking your tax, they don't take it on net. They take it on gross. The reason being, human beings, we are naturally selfish. If you are left to calculate your 10% on your net, you're going to pay all your bills first, and then you are left with 2,000, you start calculating it from there. So tithe is calculated on gross.
And why is it important to tithe?
Why it is important to tithe is because we are honoring God, and we are recognizing that our source of provision is God. It is God who gives us that wealth. And God tells us he wants us to give back that 10% to him. In fact, it says in the Bible, when you give the 10% back, actually you are testing God. So you have to honor him. And it actually says pay, meaning it is something you owe to God. It doesn't say give. It says pay your tithe. So whether you are saved, whether you are not, you need to pay your tithe because you recognize God is the one who gives you.
It's a very wonderful note to end
the
episode today, that it's very important that if your aim is to actually create wealth, you need first of all to recognize the source of the wealth. And the source of the wealth is God, a higher power. Whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, whether you're Hindu, it doesn't matter. You just need to pay. Honor the source of your wealth. Thank you very much for joining us in this episode. We shall continue with this series in the next episode, where we shall talk about the next step, just under acquiring wealth. What else do you need to do so that you can become financially free?